In this video, I'll show you how to create tokens that can be used to display information to your players, give you reminders about the room that you're currently in, share images, roll trap damage, and even create chat menus so that you don't clutter up your user interface with a whole bunch of buttons like this. I'm going to begin by creating a transparent token on my map. So I'm going to just drag this transparent ping onto my map, drop it right here. And to make it slightly visible to me, I'm going to double click on it and give it an aura, this green color, just so that I can pick up on it myself. This will be invisible to my players. And now what I want to do is create a character sheet for my token. I'm just going to call this token Notes. And we're going to use the selected token for this. And we'll click Save Changes. Now, the way this works is by entering information into the bubbles of the token and then displaying that information in the chat panel. So, let's open up the token's properties here, and in bar 1, I'm just going to type in Hello World, and we'll say that this represents Notes. Now, if I go back to my chat panel, and I type in the phrase @selected bar 1, and I put that in curly braces, you can see that we retrieve Hello World. So we can retrieve information from these bubbles just by calling the appropriate bar number here. And I can change this up. I can make this descriptive text by typing /desc and then the bar number, or I can turn this into a whisper, so /WGM to whisper this just to me. So using these concepts, we can now start building a really useful notes token. Now, it's going to be really inconvenient if I have to keep coming into the chat box and typing these specific commands. So what we're going to do to begin with is go back to our journal, open up the Notes character sheet, and go to this Attributes and Abilities tab. And let's say that I want to do a handful of things. I want to share a description with my players. I want to put up notes for myself, things like that. We'll start with those. I'm going to click the Add button here, and I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to call this Description. And what I'm going to do here is now type in /desc and then that command, @selected bar 1. So now let's save this, and we'll set it as a token action. So now, move this out of the side here. When I click on this token, you can see we've got a description button that pops up here. And when I click that, Hello World displays in the chat. We also want to be able to whisper notes about the room, if there are traps, if there are secret passages, things like that. So we'll say add. Again, we'll edit this. We'll call this GM note. And we're going to whisper GM and then @selected bar 2, because we don't want the same bar here. We want to put the information to whisper to the GM in a different bar. So again, we'll save that. We'll show it as a token action. I'll close this. And now I'm going to open up my token here, and in bar 2, I'll put any information about my room. So maybe a DC 15 investigation check reveals a ring worth 30 gold. Something like that. We'll save changes. And now, if I click GM note, you see I get that text displayed just to me. Okay, so now let's say we want to show a picture of that ring to our players if they find it. All right, so I've done some Google searches. I've found this sapphire ring that's pretty. I want to show them an image of that. So what I'm going to do is right-click on it and select Copy Image Address. And now I'm going to go back into my game, open up my token, and I'm going to put the URL to the image right here in bar 3. And I'll click Save Changes. So to display that to my players, I'll go back to my journal, open up my Notes character sheet, and I'm going to add a new ability, and we'll call this ability Image, and this one's going to be a little bit different. It'll be an open bracket, the word image, and then an open parenthesis at selected bar 3, and close the bracket, close the parenthesis. We'll save that, and we will also make that one a token action. Close this guy, reselect, and now when we click image, there we go, the image of our ring shows up on the screen. Maybe there's also a trap in my room, and I want to display the amount of damage that the trap deals, and also the saving throw that my players need to make in order to avoid or reduce that damage. Well, there's a nice template that's built into all of your character sheets that kind of has the syntax that looks like this. And if I copy this and put it into the chat, this is what gives you that nice appearance here. And I'll put this note in the description down below. But basically what I want to do is just copy this, and I'm going to put this right into my token, and I'm going to put this into the maximum value of bar 1. So I just pasted it in there. Now we're going to go back to our character sheet. We're going to add a new ability. I'm going to be extraordinarily creative and call this ability Trap. And this one is just going to be calling that bar. So it's going to be at selected bar 1 max. Save that. Show it as a token action. Back to the chat. Click on and off again. And there we go. There's our Fire Glyph Trap. And just like with any other inline roll, you can hover over the number to see the damage that was dealt. So at this point, you may be wondering, well, why are we going through and putting all this information into the bars rather than just, say, going into the ability section here and entering that information directly into the character sheet? And the answer is, now that we've gotten these abilities set up like this, we can drop a notes token into any room that we want, and all we need to do to display that information to our players for that new room is just put the information for the new room into the bars here. So again, I'm saying this represents character notes. And now I'm going to go to my note sheet here. I've got my information about my room, so I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to put it into bar 1. I've got my GM notes here. I'm going to copy those and put those into bar 2. I've got an image that I want to share with my players, which will go into bar 3. And I've got a trap that I want to put in to the maximum value of bar 1. So I'll click Save Changes now. Click on and off. Okay, you can see that token now has all those abilities. So here we go. Here's the description. Ooh, let's scroll down. All right, this room is musty and smells of sulfur. Here's the note to myself. Here's the image I want to display. And here's a trap that's a poison needle on the book itself. So now I can just drop a notes token onto any room that I want, put the information about that room into the bubbles here, and I don't need to go in and create a separate character sheet for each room, which is what we'd have to do if we hard-coded all of the room information into the character sheet. Now, the final thing to talk about here is that we've got a bunch of buttons that have shown up in our interface now, and that might be okay for you. But if you've got a lot of other macros that you've set up or other things that you're displaying up here, this can clutter up your interface pretty fast. So what I want to do is show you how we can create an inline chat menu so that you can just click on these as you need to. So an inline chat menu would look like this right here. All right, so you can see I've got all my buttons showing up now in the chat. So how do we do that? Okay, well, let's go back to our character sheet. And I'm going to uncheck this Show as Token action for the 4 abilities we created earlier. And I'm going to create a new one, and I'm just going to call this one Menu. And I want to whisper this menu to the GM. So we'll do /W GM. And then the syntax for this is an open bracket, the name of the button. So we'll go with description, and then a parenthesis, and then a tilde, which is that character in the upper left of your keyboard right under the escape, and then the ability name that we want to call. So we'll call description. So basically what we're looking at here is this is the name of the button. This is calling an ability from the character sheet. So we're going to have a button called description that calls the description ability here. All right, and then I'm just going to repeat that process. I'll do one for GM note. All right, so I've fast forwarded a little bit. You can see I've typed all the information in here. So I've got a button referencing each one of the abilities I created. I'll click save. We want to show this one as a token action. Close it. Now we go back here. You'll notice that we're down to just one button here. And if I click on my chat, there it is. And now I can click description. That shows the description. There's my GM note, my image, and my trap. So you can do this either way that you'd like. You can have it show up as an inline chat menu. You can have it show up here. But the upshot is now we've got a nice, easy way to display information to our players, provide reminders to ourselves, share images, and just all around have a really helpful utility token. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful, and have a great day.